Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real, something honest. If you want to change your life, really change it, you don't need magic. You need mastery. The mind is the most powerful instrument we possess. It's the control center of every thought, every decision, every belief that shapes our actions and ultimately our reality. When we say train your mind, what we're really talking about is developing a mental discipline that separates those who drift through life from those who rise with purpose. The power of the mind is not just in what it can imagine, it's in what it can endure, what it can focus on, and what it can refuse to believe. Most people underestimate the impact their mindset has on their lives. They believe that circumstances, luck, or outside forces determine their path. But the truth is, the way you interpret the world, the way you respond to difficulty, the way you bounce back from pain or rejection, that comes from the mind. Your mind can either be your prison or your passport. You can use it to make excuses, or you can use it to build the life you want. The difference lies in whether or not you train it. Think about it. Every fear you felt, every limit you've accepted, every moment you told yourself, I can't. Where did it come from? The world, or your mind's interpretation of it. Because the mind doesn't wait for reality to define it. It starts defining reality before it even happens. If you wake up believing you're not good enough, not smart enough, not worthy enough, the world will start showing you proof of that belief. Not because it's true, but because your mind will filter out anything that contradicts that internal narrative. But if you flip that script, if you start feeding your mind with the right input, the right thoughts, the right beliefs, everything begins to shift. This isn't some vague motivational idea. This is how the brain works. Focus on failure, and that's what you'll see. Focus on possibility, and suddenly doors open. You don't attract success by hoping for it. You prepare for it in your thinking. You create space in your mind for something greater, and that space becomes a launching pad for your life to grow.
Training your mind means teaching it to focus. When it wants to drift, it means not letting negative thoughts live rent-free in your head. It means refusing to be a victim of your emotions. This kind of training isn't easy. It takes repetition. It takes patience. But most of all, it takes awareness. You have to start noticing what you're feeding your mind. What do you read? Who do you listen to? What do you say to yourself when nobody's around? These are not small questions. They are the foundation of mental conditioning.
There's a saying, where the mind goes, the man follows. If your mind is scattered, your life will be chaotic. If your mind is focused, your life gains direction. Just like a muscle, the mind grows stronger when it's challenged. So challenge it. Push back against the fear. Push back against the voice that says stay small. Remind yourself daily that you are in control. Not your past. Not your failures. Not your critics. Because at the end of the day, everything begins with the mind. Before success, there's belief. Before action, there's thought. Before victory, there's vision. And when you take control of your mind, you take control of your life. Not all at once, not overnight, but moment by moment. Choice by choice. That's how transformation starts. That's how greatness is built. Train your mind and watch the rest of your life rise to meet it. Discipline over distraction is the cornerstone of mental training. In a world overflowing with noise, with endless notifications, entertainment, opinions, and temptations, the ability to stay focused has become a rare superpower. Most people aren't failing because they lack talent or intelligence. They're failing because they can't stay focused long enough on one thing to see it through. Distraction is the silent killer of dreams. It creeps in quietly, disguised as harmless scrolling, procrastination, multitasking, and before you know it, hours, days, even years have been lost. Training your mind demands discipline, not just when it's easy or convenient, but especially when it's uncomfortable. That means making choices that serve your future, not your impulses. It means waking up early when you want to sleep in, studying when you'd rather watch something, showing up when nobody's cheering you on. Discipline is not glamorous. It's not flashy. It doesn't always bring immediate rewards, but it builds something inside of you, strength, character, grit that nothing else can replace. We live in an age of instant gratification. Everything is designed to give you quick pleasure with minimal effort. But real success, lasting transformation, comes from doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. That's the essence of discipline. It's not about being in the mood, it's about making a decision and sticking to it. The mind naturally resists discipline. It wants comfort, ease, routine. That's why discipline must be practiced like a skill, daily, deliberately, and with full intention. When you choose discipline, you start to rewire your brain. You teach it that it's okay to be uncomfortable. You train it to stay with the task even when distractions pull at you. Over time, your mind becomes stronger, sharper, more focused, and that focus becomes a weapon. It cuts through noise. It eliminates excuses. It pushes you to keep going when most people quit. And make no mistake, most people will quit. They'll choose the easier path, the one that looks fun now but costs them later. But if you choose discipline, you separate yourself. You become dependable not just to others but to yourself. There's power in that. When you know you can count on your own mind to do what needs to be done, confidence builds. You don't need motivation, you move with intention. That's how winners think. They don't chase motivation, they build systems. They build habits. They build discipline into the DNA of their days. This doesn't mean you're perfect. It doesn't mean you'll never get distracted or make mistakes. But discipline is what brings you back. It's what corrects your course. It's the anchor that keeps your ship steady when the waves get high. Every time you say no to distraction, you're saying yes to your future. Every time you choose the hard thing over the easy one, you're investing in a version of yourself that's stronger, wiser, more powerful. And that's the goal, not perfection, but progress. You win the war against distraction, one decision at a time, 1 hour of focus, one day of consistency, one promise kept to yourself. That's how mental strength is built. That's how transformation begins. Not in the big moments when the lights are on, but in the quiet moments when no one is watching and you still choose discipline. Because the life you want doesn't come from doing what's easy. It comes from doing what's necessary. Train your mind to value discipline over distraction, and the world will start to move differently around you. Belief is the foundation of transformation. Without belief, no goal is reachable, no dream is sustainable, and no change is lasting. It's not just a word you hear in motivational speeches. It's the engine behind every action that pushes you forward when everything around you says stop. When we talk about training the mind, belief is the fuel. It's what keeps the fire alive when there are no visible results. It's what allows you to keep walking even when the path isn't clear. It's quiet, invisible, and deeply personal, but it shapes everything. Your mind is constantly listening to you. The thoughts you repeat to yourself become the truths you live by. If you constantly tell yourself you're not good enough, not ready, not capable, your mind will agree with you. It won't argue. It will accept that input and filter your experiences through that lens. You'll start seeing more reasons to stay small, more proof that you can't, that you shouldn't, that it's too late. That's the trap of a mind trained in doubt. But when you start feeding your mind with belief, true belief in your ability to grow, to adapt, to overcome, that's when your life starts to shift. And let's be clear, belief doesn't mean you have everything figured out. It doesn't mean you never fear or never fail. Belief means you trust yourself enough to keep going through all of it. You trust that even if you fall, you'll get back up. You trust that the process will teach you what you need, even if you don't know it now. Many people wait until they feel confident before they begin. They want proof before they commit. But that's not how belief works. Belief is not built in comfort. It's built in struggle. It's built when you take action without certainty, when you step into unknown territory and discover that you can handle more than you thought. Every time you do that, your belief gets stronger. And with strong belief, the impossible starts to feel possible. Doors that were invisible start to appear. You begin to notice opportunities you would have missed before, simply because your mind wasn't tuned to see them. But belief also requires protection. It's fragile at first. You can't expect to believe in yourself deeply while surrounding yourself with people who constantly doubt you. You can't expect to build confidence if all you consume is negativity, criticism, and comparison. Belief must be guarded. That means being mindful of what you listen to, who you allow into your space, and how you speak to yourself in quiet moments. You have to become your own biggest supporter, especially when the outside world goes silent. It's also important to understand that belief is a choice. It's not something you're born with or without. You choose it every single day. You wake up and decide, I believe in the value of my effort. I believe that growth is possible. I believe that today, no matter what happens, I'm going to move forward. And sometimes that belief will be the only thing you have, but it will be enough because belief fuels action, and action creates evidence. And the more evidence you gather from trying, the stronger your belief becomes. In the end, belief is the bridge between where you are and where you want to go. Without it, you'll stay stuck waiting for life to change on its own. But with it, you'll step boldly into the unknown, fueled by something deeper than talent or luck. You'll be powered by the conviction that you are worthy of more, capable of more, and destined for more. And that belief, once fully trained and deeply rooted, will transform not just your mind, but your entire life. Overcoming fear and doubt is one of the hardest battles you will ever face in your mind. These two forces are silent saboteurs. They don't come at you with loud warnings. They creep in slowly, quietly, and convincingly. Fear tells you that you'll fail before you begin. Doubt whispers that you're not ready, not qualified, not deserving. And if you don't learn how to recognize these voices and rise above them, they will steal your potential before it ever has a chance to take shape. Everyone feels fear. Everyone has doubts. Even the most successful people you admire have faced the same mental resistance. The difference is not that they never felt fear. It's that they didn't let fear make their decisions for them. They felt it and moved anyway, because fear is not a sign to stop. It's often a signal that you're stepping into growth. It appears when you're on the edge of something important, something meaningful. The problem is most people take that fear as a stop sign instead of a green light. They retreat. They overthink. They wait for the fear to go away. But fear doesn't leave on its own. It only weakens when you confront it directly. Doubt works the same way. It feeds on your insecurities. It reminds you of past failures, magnifies your flaws, and makes you question every strength you have. But doubt only has power if you listen to it. The mind will generate doubtful thoughts just like the body produces sweat. It's a natural response to pressure. But you are not your thoughts. You are the one who chooses which thoughts to follow. When you start treating doubt as background noise instead of truth, you begin to reclaim control. The most powerful tool you have against fear and doubt is action. Action breaks the loop. When you take one small step, just one, you prove to your mind that fear is not in charge. You show yourself that progress is possible, even if it's imperfect. That's where real confidence comes from. Not from standing still and waiting for clarity, but from doing the thing despite the fear. Confidence is built through repeated acts of courage, not through waiting for the perfect moment. Another way to overcome fear and doubt is by changing the way you talk to yourself. Most people are their own worst critics. They tear themselves down in ways they would never speak to a friend. But your mind listens. It absorbs every word you say about yourself. So instead of saying, I can't do this, you start saying, I'm learning how. Instead of what if I fail, you shift it to what if I grow. These aren't empty affirmations. They are mental rewrites, new pathways that help you move forward instead of staying stuck. It also helps to remember your why. When the fear gets loud, when the doubt feels overwhelming, remind yourself what you're fighting for. Your vision, your dream, your purpose, they're bigger than your fear. Fear looks huge when you stare at it, but it starts to shrink when you start moving toward your goals with intention. Purpose gives you power. It makes the discomfort worth it. And once you push through that wall a few times, your mind learns that fear isn't fatal. It's just a feeling. Overcoming fear and doubt is not a one-time victory. It's a daily practice. Some days you'll win, some days you'll slip. But the key is to keep showing up. Keep proving to yourself that you are more than your fear, stronger than your doubt, and capable of more than you think. Because on the other side of those two lies freedom. Freedom to create, to grow, to live fully. And when you train your mind to rise above fear and doubt, there is nothing in this world that can hold you back. Vision and purpose. are the guiding forces of a transformed life. Without them, you drift. You move, but you don't move forward. You work hard, but it feels empty. That's because effort without direction leads to exhaustion, not progress. Vision gives you something to aim for. Purpose gives you a reason to keep going when it gets hard. Together, they act as your compass, your engine, and your anchor all at once. The mind needs a target. Without a clear vision, your mind will latch on to whatever distractions come its way. It will follow trends, opinions, noise. But when your vision is strong, when you know what kind of life you want to build and who you want to become, your focus sharpens. Your decisions start aligning with your future instead of your feelings. You begin to measure your actions not by how comfortable they are, but by how connected they are to your vision. A powerful vision doesn't have to be complicated. It's not about having every detail figured out. It's about clarity. It's about knowing what direction you're headed in. Maybe your vision is to become the best version of yourself. Maybe it's to build something meaningful, to lead, to create, to serve. Whatever it is, you need to see it in your mind first. If you can't see it, you can't chase it. You don't become what you wish for. You become what you consistently focus on. And that's what training your mind is all about. Building the discipline to hold your vision, even when the world tries to blur it. Now, purpose is what fuels that vision. It's the emotional connection behind the goal. Vision says, this is what I want. Purpose says, this is why it matters. And that why is everything. Because motivation fades. Discipline gets tested. Life throws setbacks, detours, and disappointments at you. But purpose, that deep sense of why, keeps you anchored. It reminds you that the pain is part of the process. It gives you the strength to continue when most people quit. Too often, people chase goals without purpose. They chase money, status, or approval, thinking it will give them meaning, but external success without internal alignment leaves you feeling hollow. True transformation happens when your goals reflect your values, when your vision is connected to something real inside you. That's when your actions become meaningful. That's when the hard work starts to feel worth it. Training your mind to stay connected to your vision and purpose is not a one-time decision. It's a daily discipline. You have to keep reminding yourself of where you're going and why. You have to feed your mind with the thoughts, images, and environments that support your direction. Surround yourself with people who challenge you to grow, not people who keep you comfortable. Protect your focus like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. Distractions will come, doubts will rise, you will have days when nothing seems to move. But if your vision is clear and your purpose is strong, you'll keep showing up. You'll keep pushing through because you're not moving aimlessly. You're building something. You're becoming someone. And every step, even the small ones, take you closer to the life you were meant to live. When your mind is trained to think with vision and act with purpose, your life begins to align. Your energy has direction. Your struggle has meaning. And your growth becomes unstoppable. This is not theory. This is how transformation works. You don't just react to life anymore, you create it. One decision, one action, one day at a time. All rooted in vision, all driven by purpose, and that's when everything begins to change.
Consistency and growth are the quiet forces behind every transformation story. They don't shout. They don't demand attention, but they are always working. While talent can open doors and motivation can get you started, it's consistency that keeps you moving forward. And it's growth, small, steady, intentional growth, that makes the journey meaningful. When you train your mind to value progress over perfection and discipline over moods, you start building a life that doesn't just change once, it keeps evolving.
Most people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because they stop. They stop when it gets boring. They stop when it gets hard. They stop when the results aren't instant. But success, true, lasting success, doesn't come from what you do occasionally. It comes from what you do consistently. It's in the daily habits, the unseen efforts, the choices made when no one is watching. Training your mind means teaching it to show up again and again, especially when you don't feel like it. That's when the real change happens. Growth is not always exciting. Sometimes it looks like repetition. Sometimes it feels like slow motion. But every small step, every hard day you get through, every time you push just a little further than before, that's growth. It's not dramatic. It's not always noticeable, but it's powerful and it adds up. 1% better every day might not seem like much in the moment, but over time it creates a completely different life, and your mind needs to understand that. It needs to stop chasing perfection and start honoring progress. Consistency also builds trust, not just with others, but with yourself. When you consistently do what you said you would do, whether it's showing up at the gym, finishing your reading, or taking steps towards your dream, you begin to see yourself differently. You begin to believe not because someone else told you to, but because you have evidence. You've shown up, you've done the work, and that confidence is rooted in reality. That's what makes it unshakable. But consistency isn't just about routines. It's also about how you think. Are you consistently feeding your mind thoughts that support your growth? Are you surrounding yourself with voices that challenge and uplift you? Are you making time for reflection, learning, and self-awareness? Because growth doesn't just happen when you act. It also happens when you think deeply, when you learn from your failures, and when you ask better questions. Of course, there will be setbacks. There will be moments when you fall off track. That's part of the journey. But when your mind is trained for consistency, you don't spiral. You reset. You return to the process. You don't let one bad day become a bad week or a bad month. You take the lesson, not the shame. That's mental strength. That's what separates those who keep growing from those who give up.
And with growth comes change, not just in your skills or achievements, but in who you are. Your perspective shifts, your patience deepens, your standards rise. You stop settling for average because you've seen what consistent effort can do. And that new identity you've built, that's permanent because it wasn't handed to you. You earned it through daily decisions, quiet battles, and unwavering commitment.
In the end, transformation isn't about big leaps. It's about small steps taken consistently. It's about showing up when it's hard, growing when it's slow, believing when it's uncertain, and trusting the process when the results haven't shown up yet. Train your mind to stay consistent. Nurture your growth with intention. And you won't just change your habits, you'll change your life. One day at a time, one step at a time. That's how real transformation begins, and how it never stops. What you've just heard is not just a speech, it's a reminder. A reminder that your life is not governed by chance, but by choice. That the greatest power you will ever have is the power to train your own mind. When you choose discipline over distraction, belief over doubt, vision over confusion, and consistency over convenience, you unlock a version of yourself that is stronger, wiser, and more capable than you ever imagined. This is not about being perfect. This is about being intentional. It's about taking control of your thoughts so you can take control of your life. Because transformation doesn't start in your circumstances. It starts in your thinking. You don't need to wait for a better opportunity or a perfect moment. You just need to start where you are with what you have and decide right now that your mind will no longer be your limitation, but your greatest weapon. Train your mind with purpose. Lead your life with vision. And keep showing up every single day, because the life you want is not a fantasy. It's real. It's possible. And it's waiting on the other side of your commitment.